And so my review is definitely read it. And I'm going to go into the spoilers now, so spoiler warning. Here's the nitty-gritty of what happens in the book. Cadence's backstory, which I said is brief, it's something that Cadence relates to Twilight during a deep conversation. It's told autobiographically, so you have to take it with a grain of salt, I think. It's the story as Cadence puts her story. I'll put it that way. But the story was, she was an orphaned Pegasus raised in a village, pretty much all of Earth ponies. So she was kind of the odd pony out. You know, has natural talent for love-related things. That includes matchmaking, you know, being an arbiter, love-related conflict resolutions. Eventually got into a brawl with an evil enchantress, who may or may not do evil dances. Her town is ravaged by a amulet-driven enchantress, who we have to assume is a unicorn of some type, who was a recluse and very bitter and very jealous, and who had a similar but different amulet to the alicorn amulet. It works like the alicorn amulet, but it is not the alicorn amulet. It's something else. Through the power of the amulet, she starts wreaking havoc, and Cadence confronts her and has a major confrontation, and wins, but wins through understanding and empathy. She turns the amulet against her, because the amulet will amplify Cadence's love and understanding just as much as it would amplify the evil enchantress's intent. And so, in a sense, you know, because Cadence is so giving and such a loving person, she turns the wickedness of the enchantress against herself. And apparently it's an all, you know, everybody's friends at the end ending. After which, just like in Magical Mystery Cure, she gets, you know, transferred to a negative astral plane and is met by a vision of Celestia, who afterwards, you know, we assume she gets fully alicorned at that point. At that point, she is officially taken in as Celestia's ward, and she becomes a niece, is really a ward of Celestia, and is subsequently enrolled in unicorn school, and, you know, has to relearn all unicorn magic type stuff because now she has a horn. And we assume that's kind of where she met Shining Armor, them both being, you know, horned ponies at that point. So that's the extent of what we get for her backstory. I think it definitely gives us something. It shows us that it's not just a unicorn thing to become an alicorn princess. It's something that a Pegasus could also do. And we can infer from that even an Earth pony, if they really achieve a real level of enlightenment, then even an Earth pony could probably become an alicorn. I mean, for all we know, Celestia and Luna might have been born Earth ponies. There's no real way of knowing. So, yeah, as for the story itself, it pretty much follows an internal struggle for Twilight as she comes to grips with what being a great leader means. And there's a subplot with the aforementioned amplification amulet, which could lead you down a dark path or a very enlightened path. And presumably Twilight gets kind of distracted by the dark side temporarily to her eventual epiphany to becoming a good, understanding leader. and she does see her gold lettering and have her leadership epiphany, which I think was nice for her. All in all, it was pretty good. It was probably shorter than a lot of the bigger fanfics, so it's an easy read, but somehow it's a better read because there's this feeling that what you're reading is canon in some way. And the book is not perfect. There are some flubs. I mean, they get a lot of things right in terms of appealing to the crowd, but you know there's some problems. And at what point they say, okay, hey, the last time the main six were here, they were at the Crystal Fair, but if you watch season 3, you know that they went to the Crystal Fair and they returned for Games Ponies Play to entertain the games inspector. So this book was apparently written by someone who was in the know of how season 3 was ended, but didn't know all the details of season 3 when he or she wrote this book. So that was Twilight Sparkle and the Crystal Heart Spell by G.M. Barrow. Okay, it's published by the Hatchet Book Group. You can visit them at lb-kids.com. No other real credits for G.M. Barrow. So, I don't know, for a virgin fanfic author, I guess he or she did pretty good. So, definitely if you haven't picked up a copy already, you know, you can order from Amazon pretty easily. That's what I did. Definitely going to pick up the next book regarding Pinkie Pie, because this book is apparently goes into the relationship with Pinkie Pie and her father, which is something that, you know, a lot of the fans have been clamoring for. Definitely want to read that. In the interim, there's going to be a children's picture book where the main six meet sea ponies, which I'm sure old school and new school fans are going to go bonkers over that. So I'm probably going to give that a look too. So, long story short, pretty good book, and pick her up.